So I just want to bring everyone together. I'm also going to ask everyone to mute your computers during this time, so we don't have any feedback or anything. But I just want to thank you all for joining us. My name is Gracie Simendinger, and I am the president of Downtown Council. It is my honor to serve as the president, and I'm just so excited to kick off another year with all of you. I am going to get my notes ready really quickly. And let you know that we are recording this session, so it will be available for all individuals who aren't able to join us to be able to to review the information that Darnell and team will share. So we'll hear all the feedback, you shared about the Jaguars just a minute ago. I also want to give just a few updates on the Downtown Council Board Retreat we had back in December, and some key takeaways from that. And so for those of you that are new to Downtown Council or returning, there may be some new things we're incorporating into the programming for this year specifically. We recognize that from switching to Zoom instead of in person, a lot of us were really craving more networking and more interaction time with one another. So while we remain in Zoom, through this year for our morning meetings, we will be extending the length of time for the meeting. That will include one breakout session after each keynote speaker. So our meetings used to be from 8 to 9 a.m. Now they will be from 8 to 9 will be the program. And then for those that want to stay on and network to meet one another, we'll do a breakout from 9 to 9:15. That starts this morning. So the other feature, and you saw it a little bit today, I'm excited that people were really interactive with it, is our new polling feature. And so in each of our Zooms, we'll be putting up some polls, maybe 3 to 4 polls per meeting to really engage you and get to know your feedback on, the topics or anything really going on in Jacksonville. So look out for more that are coming in this meeting and into the future. We will also be incorporating some networking socials in the afternoons sometime in the future. We're not exactly sure when those will roll out, but please know we'll be doing some things, around the 4 o'clock hour or so for those of you where it's difficult to, do morning meetings or consistently. That is coming. And of course, TBD as, we continue to watch COVID-19 numbers and the safety of the members. And lastly, and in my opinion, most importantly, we as the Downtown Council Board are committed to building a diverse board that is reflective of our community. And right now it's not, but I just want you to know that it's something that we are certainly working on and hope to, continue to build on the incredible leadership in our community and get them involved in downtown. I know I shared a lot of information, but throughout all of these things that we're incorporating into this year, we would love your feedback. So if you like the polls, let us know. If you don't like the polls, let us know. If you'd like to see a certain speaker or topic, let us know. If you'd like some other, you have other networking ideas, please let us know. We just really value your feedback. So for those of you that are new to downtown, we are one of 10 chamber councils. And simply put, Downtown Council cares about the future of our city. We represent Jacksonville's downtown business community, including major corporations, growing businesses, and startups. Our goal is to connect one another so that downtown and greater Jacksonville will thrive and prosper. And we also pride ourselves on keeping you informed of local business and civic issues by bringing top-tier speakers to our meetings. Today is certainly no different. I'm not going to steal Laura's thunder, but I, of course, have to say some things about my brother, Darnell Smith. For those of you that have the pleasure of knowing Darnell, I think everyone in Jacksonville knows Darnell, but he is certainly a mentor to many, if not everyone in our local community. So I'm just incredibly grateful for all the things that he does for us and for his, sharing some time with us and really talking more about Lift Jacksonville. But Darnell, you're just so special to so many of us. So I'm just grateful to call you such a dear friend. Another thing, I'm actually going to launch one of our other polls is in relation to Darnell. So hopefully you should be seeing a poll pop up on your screen. So Darnell Smith is a huge fan and alumnus of what Florida college? Oh, let's see how well they know you, Darnell.
Uh-oh. I hope this doesn't get back to the university that that I come from. When they say, "How did you?" So what is that university?
Darnell, I voted for Gary, so you know what that means.
This is interesting. Okay, I'm just going to give it a few more seconds. We have 56 of the 73 registrants have made their selection.
Okay.
Okay. And the results should be on your screen now. We're, as a Seminole myself, we are very pleased that majority, over 50% know that Florida State is where it's
I love it. I love it.
So thank you for participating in that poll. Our next meeting will be 2 Fridays from today on February 19th. I'll share more about that towards the end of the session, but just wanted you to know we meet on the 1st and 3rd Friday of every month via Zoom. And via Zoom, it's free for both downtown council members and non-members. I also want to take this brief time to recognize all downtown council board members. And we're all volunteers. So if you will just give a nice wave, if you're a downtown council board member, to all of our attendees today, we would love to recognize you. I also want to recognize Mr. Jim Webb, who is our downtown council small business leader of the year. And we had such a fantastic time celebrating you and all of the other SBLYs on Tuesday at the breakfast. So congratulations, Jim. We're so proud to call you our downtown council 2021 SBLY. And then I also want to recognize the incredible chamber staff that do a lot of things behind the scenes that really make downtown council and the greater chamber really thrive. And so thank you, Amanda Patch, who's on this call, and also Meg Hines and the entire chamber team for all that you do for us. We are really grateful. And lastly, we had 4 new members sign up since December. So I'm just going to recognize the new members. And so if I say your name, please wave. Hopefully you have it on gallery view so you can see everyone. But we are pleased to welcome Lori McMullen from Aging True Community Senior Services to the Downtown Council. We are pleased to welcome Wayne Estes of Estes Heating and Air Conditioning, Angela Von Ruden of Fresh JAX Organic Spices, and David Ruppel of Liberty Staffing. Welcome to DTC. It's the place to be.
Hey, Gracie, Angie Campbell, who's actually here also, she's been coming for a long time with the Daily Record, but she finally joined. So thank you, Angie. Welcome.
Awesome. Thanks, Angie. Welcome to Downtown Council. Okay, at this time, I'm going to stop talking and turn it over to our fearless programs officer, Miss Laura Edgecombe. Laura?
Good morning, everybody. As Gracie said, I'm Laura Phillips Edgecombe. In real life, I'm the director of catering, events, and community for the Brennan Board. And for this wonderful council, I am in charge of programming. And I help my husband with the social side of things, which, as Gracie mentioned, will be coming back in some capacity. So stay tuned for that. We're all really excited about what we have planned. And if you like to get your fitness on, also stay tuned for that, because there's going to be some fun things coming up in the spring. I just want to say it's Happy New Year to everyone. I feel kind of rusty. It's kind of crazy that we have seen each other. I'm looking through the gallery. I've quote unquote seen some of y'all in other Zooms and in other capacities, but to be back talking and bringing in speakers again for the new year, it's really exciting. And it's super overwhelmingly exciting to have Darnell come. I, as many of you know, have been in event production for almost 15 years, and I cannot remember an event that I was producing that Darnell was not either the keynote speaker or sitting in the front row or just walking around the gallery, hugging and kissing and loving on everyone and remembering everyone's names. It truly is a talent that this man brings to our community and to our lives. I'm going to give a little bit of the back on him just because that's what I do. As we all know, he graduated from Florida State. What you may not know is that he graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering, which I can relate to because I also, although I don't do it, graduated with a chemical engineering degree. So here we are. He's also has an advanced management program degree from Harvard. So not only is he a beautiful man, but he's also very smart. And he is currently the market president of North Florida for Florida Blue, as many of you know. In addition to all that he does, though, with Florida Blue, which is he's going to speak today on one of the programs, he's also, like I mentioned, been incredibly a huge asset philanthropically to this to the city. I mean, without even, there's a whole list, right? I can look down and I literally have a whole page of organizations. Some of the ones though that hold dear to downtown in general would be like the Salzbacher Center, JAX, Operation New Hope, you know, Cathedral Arts. He clearly picks organizations that are making movement for the future of our city. He has sat on the board of the JAX Chamber of Commerce, and in 2017, he was on the JAX Chamber Board of Directors. I have so many notes, there's so many things. Oh, right now, currently, he does Leadership Jackson, Leadership Florida, which for any of y'all that have been part of Downtown Council, you may have in the past been part of organizations such as Impact Jackson, those sorts of things. And that kind of leads itself to going into these Leadership Jackson, Leadership Florida positions if you're interested. I know that they just did their last round, but they are, you know, always looking for involvement. With that, because I have so many wonderful things I want to say, and y'all know I love to talk, especially when I'm fangirling over someone. Darnell, I'm going to give it to you to talk about Lift JAX, because for Jacksonville, especially right now, poverty is a huge, huge, huge hurdle that we have got. We've got to find a way to get over. You know, we got to get there, and I feel like Lift JAX is definitely going to. As Gracie's putting up one of the questions, I'm sorry, Gracie, I got carried away. One of our questions is, does poverty exist in Jacksonville? Because as Darnell goes to speak about this, we you know, it would be interesting just to kind of get a feel of where everyone is on this. So does poverty exist in Jacksonville? Everyone kind of wants to click on that. And we'll get some results here in a second.
We're about 69% reported.
Okay.
Maybe a couple.
I feel like we're in an election. Okay. And what we're gonna, I mean, what's interesting is, what does poverty actually look like? There's many faces to poverty. So there we go. Okay, so we're showing no one said no, so that makes us all really, really happy, or that they weren't unsure. To that, we've got 43% saying yes, but not in my neighborhood, and 57% saying yes in my neighborhood. So with that, you know, as Darnell goes to speak about Lift JAX, I think it'll be interesting to kind of hear some of the statistics, and there's more poverty in Jacksonville than I think a lot of us realize. So anyway, to that, Darnell, thank you so much. I really appreciate and love you. We're gonna let you talk now. Take it away. Oh, guys, wait, one more thing. If you have questions, put them in the chat box. We will be asking Darnell questions at the end of his presentation. Put them in the chat box, send them to me directly. If you don't feel comfortable putting it up on the screen with your name, and we will moderate QA after Darnell speaks. Okay, go.
All right. Hey, you did a great job. You had me at, all you had to say really is just Darnell. That's at the end of the day, that's all I am. Just Darnell. Really appreciate the wonderful words, though. First of all, guys, I just got to tell you, it's awesome to be able to just interact with you all this morning. Certainly about the topic, because I think this is a very important topic. But just to see each and every one of you, knowing that you guys are doing okay, that you're in good spirits, even though we're having have to go through this very, very challenging time in our country, certainly as it pertains to COVID-19, but we're going to get on the other side of it. And really wonderful just to see you guys. I have a presentation, and am I able to share that? Can you give me the rights to pull that up?
Yes, you should be able to share now, Darnell.
Okay.
Yep.
See. I do. All righty. I should have gotten it on the right page though, but we'll see. Okay, here. Hold on, my friends. I'm new at this. How's that? Does that work? All right. Before we begin, I want to give a shout out to someone who's actually a part of this and really leading this on a daily basis. David Garfunkel. He's actually in the audience. I don't know if you guys know David. He is the president and CEO of Lift JAX. I also saw Anne-Marie Knight, who's also serving, and I got to believe there are probably a number of other folks who I just didn't see their faces and all. But just know that this, Shannon, okay, Shannon's in there, awesome, who's amazing and doing great work for us as well. But you'll see as we go through this, guys, this is really a community effort. I am happy to really serve in a capacity to be able to talk to you about it today, because like I said, it's really, really important for Jacksonville to get our hands around this. This is something actually, if you guys are familiar with the chamber at the state level, the Florida Chamber, know that they are putting a lot of emphasis on this as well. You can get a lot of data about poverty. If you go to Florida scorecard.com and certainly work through their focus on poverty, you'll see exactly where we are. So a lot of work to be done in this space. I'll start with the first one there, and you'll see at the end of the day, our city actually has the highest poverty, or at least higher poverty than the United States and the state as an average. What you also see is that we wanted to make certain that it's clear that we don't just look at it from the standpoint of poverty. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware, but for a family of four, the federal poverty level is $26,200. I want you to think about that. Divided by 12, see how much, roughly $2,100 a month. Take out, roughly $800 for housing, and understand that $1,300 is what you have for the remainder of the month, for transportation, for food, for lights, you name it, right? And so these are the things that a lot of folks are dealing with. But we don't just focus on somebody needs to be on mute there. There you go. Maybe not yet. There you go. You found the mute button. Awesome. And so I want you to know that we also look at it from the perspective of those who are just above the poverty level. And we call that ALICE, asset limited, income constrained, and employed. And that's roughly 27% of our neighbors who live in that situation. They could literally be one situation away, a flat tire. They don't have the money for it. Now all of a sudden they're getting to work late because now they have to catch the bus, and the bus doesn't show up at the same time in order to be there when their employer is requiring. And so that things can snowball. I mean, literally small things like that you have to think about. So 40% of our neighbors in a situation where they often have to worry about how to make basic needs meet, and it is very, very difficult. So this is how we're looking at it. And this is roughly 375,000 people live in this situation in Duval County. Here, you'll have a chance to look at the fact that, averages, they sometimes don't give you the real picture of what's going on. And here we wanted you to have an opportunity to look at childhood poverty. So those who are in poverty, obviously under 18 years of age, And you'll see in the darkest of the orange colors there, how much poverty is really impacting 3 zip codes. And I'll talk a lot more about those zip codes later. But look at those percentages. That is impactful. And quite frankly, when you think about it, we are leaving a lot of children in a very, very difficult situation. And so we wanted to make certain that indeed we are dealing with that particular issue. So we want to make certain we're thinking about it through other disparities. And you'll see that disparity from the perspective of race. And so as you think about those particular zip codes that I just shared with you, look at the top one there for Black children. 25% of them are living in poverty. 1 out of 4 children living in poverty. That's an impact. And that's the kind of work that we, once again, believe that we have to get to the bottom of. I saw a study that was by Washington University that shows that $1 trillion annually is lost across the United States as a result of childhood poverty. And the implications of that on 3 things: lost productivity of adults, simply not being there to do great work for their communities, the impact of the cost of crime, and the impact of the cost of healthcare. And so those are the kind of things that when you think about the implications of poverty, we don't always think about that. And this is what we're asking ourselves, what should we be doing? Because these are very staggering statistics. When folks usually think about what's happening in their neighborhood, they don't think about zip codes. They don't look at it from the standpoint of census tracts or zip codes. They are focusing on neighborhoods. And so we thought it best to make certain that indeed we're looking at it from a neighborhood perspective as well, because that is where how people are actually showing up and putting an emphasis on the work that's really happening. And so this one is a page I want to really make certain we put some time on. This shows just how much poverty is having an impact on different things throughout our community. Employment, the impact on crime, poverty's impact on education, poverty's impact on the health of individuals, and certainly on the healthcare system itself. Look at, once again, these staggering numbers. The one I would bring you to, though, that I want to make certain that you're really getting a chance to see as well, is the life expectancy rate. Look at Ortega, and not to pick on Ortega, but you'll see that the life expectancy rate for Ortega is roughly 80 years. And in Durkeeville, it's 67 years. That's a 13-year difference. And the distance is only 7 miles away. That is saying we have work to do in order to be able to really help the folks in our community. And it's about the children, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, it's about the adults. It's about the families in general. But for me, it is about the children. I grew up in poverty. I know what it feels like. And I'll talk a little bit about that on one of the other pages as well. Hopefully you guys have had a chance to look at this page pretty well. But we can certainly make this available as well. And I talk about, living in poverty and, but I would tell you, folks who live in poverty, what they see is what everybody else is going through. And they don't necessarily feel that it's poverty. What they know is certainly it may be tough times and things of that sort, but they have a lot of pride in their neighborhoods. And so you'll see, the things with sports or with their school or the individuals from a tradition standpoint, et cetera, or colleges or universities in their neighborhood. Those are the things that people really think about at the end of the day, because they do have pride in being able to live in what they consider a wonderful neighborhood. Here is how we got started. Here are the people that we're working with. I want to say in 2017, Ellen Wiss invited me and I think Nina Waters, Sherry McGill, to be on a panel to talk about poverty. It was at the Women's Giving Alliance. And we were focusing on, really the implications of poverty on women. And we left there just astounded by the statistics. And we said, we have to do something about this. And so a group of us continued to meet to understand what is it that we can do and how can we really come together. We're so shaken by the data and the implications on our city and certainly on the children that we literally couldn't let it go. And so we were able to meet with a number of leaders, and this is the group that we've been able to pull together to begin work here on a lot of the stuff that we're doing. You don't see everybody who's actually that we're engaging, but these are the folks who are on the steering committee, the organizations that are represented on the steering committee. And we're welcome to work with anybody if you feel as though you'd like to be a part of this work as well. This is the model we chose. So we looked at a number of models across the country, and the one we selected was the purpose-built communities model. It's a proven model. It has done a lot of work, especially in Atlanta, in an area called East Lake. I'll bring that up in a minute as well. But the model allows us to really approach it very differently. You'll see at the top of the house there, the community quarterback. That's what Lift JAX is. This allows us to be able to assemble a number of community leaders that is really focused on and driven by the business community. And it engages the neighborhood leaders. It was really important as we went through, and folks, we looked at over 15 neighborhoods, got it down to 5, 3, and then eventually 1. And we selected the east side of Jacksonville. But you'll notice that the work that has to be done, we make certain there's one thing that happens. One, the neighborhood leaders are a part of Lift Jacksonville. That's very key. We don't do anything to this community or any other community. We understand what their vision is, and we make certain that we're living out that vision, helping and inspiring them to achieve that mission and bringing together the resources. You'll see the areas of focus: income, mixed income housing, education, cradle to career, community wellness. That's a catch-all for a number of things, obviously health, but safety, et cetera. And then of course, long-term financial vitality. And that focuses not only on individuals having the right jobs and the skills, et cetera, but also ensuring that we're helping businesses be able to achieve their particular goals as well. Here you'll see some of the things that we're aspiring toward. This is the work that was done by purpose-built communities in Atlanta. You'll see on the left how stark of an issue they dealt with, and the current state on the right-hand side. So this work can be done, and they've been doing it across the nation. It is a long-term commitment. It does not happen overnight. And we made certain that everybody who's sitting at the table, they understand that we are in this for the long haul. And this is the work that we believe that we can make happen. This is the work on the east side that we have to get done. It's a 2 square mile focus. You don't want to focus on the entire zip code. You want to focus on the neighborhood, a part of the community, but you'll see the number of people who are impacted that we're going to be essentially assisting. And you'll see all the different things. I won't read through everything there in the interest of time, but this is how we're showing up, and this is the work we want to focus on. This is what East Side looks like. And in this community, I need you to know it's rich in tradition. There are a number of very important individuals who have come through this particular neighborhood. Eartha M. White. I don't know if you guys are aware, but this was an icon. She, she served on Woodrow Wilson's cabinet, literally well ahead of her time. Please Google and learn more about this woman, how much impact she had on our community, the things that she took up, the causes that she absolutely drove. James Weldon Johnson, he and his brother, they wrote a poem for Abraham Lincoln's birthday. They put it to music, and it's called Lift Every Voice and Sing. And now it is actually what we consider the National Negro Anthem. And right here out of Jacksonville. A. Philip Randolph, a mentor of Martin Luther King Jr., considered one of the fathers of civil rights, and certainly just an important leader in our community. And then Bullet Bob Hayes, and obviously Olympian and Dallas Cowboy, all the great things about this young man as well. But it's rich in tradition, and that's the point that we want to make certain we don't lose sight of when it comes to neighborhoods. And so this is what we're certainly looking at when you see the East Side and how it shows up against the averages in Jacksonville. This is where we are. It's the stake in the ground that we've placed and the work that we have to do. It is stark. I mean, I want you to look at those numbers. And I want you to understand that, you're looking at numbers, but what you can't see is that behind these numbers are people. That's the part we need you to make certain you understand. I want you to think about this. If you were to hear about a parent who had one child who they sent to private school, gave all the best things, etc., and then they had another child who they mistreated, kept in the basement, didn't feed, etc., you'd call 911 immediately. You make certain that you dealt with that scenario. Well, what if that parent was Duval County? Think about that. This is what we deal with every day. We have children who have, and we have children who don't have. And in many respects, sometimes we're okay with it. And we're saying it's not okay. We have to do something about this. These are our children. And we have to get to the bottom of this, and we have to make a difference. We thought it was important to understand what the community wanted, what their vision was, not what our vision is as Lift JAX. And so we worked with the community to develop this Vision 2030. This is what we're working through, and we're well on our way with bold goals to make certain that we're absolutely achieving the things that are most important for what the people want inside of that community. And you'll hear me state that often. We come back to that often. This is not about the business leaders of the community. It's about the people in the community and what they want. Here is just some of the things that we're working on. You got Franklin Arms, just a horrible place for anyone to have to live, much less children. 98-unit apartment complex. I think David's there. I think they might have had the police coming out there on average one time a day.
That's right.
And so we can just imagine that, that somewhere in there, you can rest assured that we're going to have a police officer having to come in and deal with issues. A number of things where folks are, living in there where they're just really selling drugs, a lot of crime, et cetera. And, we have to deal with it. So we're working with our housing component of this to really take control of this complex and then transform it so that we can have a place for people to be able to live. Then you'll look at the neighborhood schools. You'll see what's happening there, especially as you think about early childhood learning. There are, there's going to be a early childhood or a pre-K school, a pre-K center, John Love. That's going to be game changing. When you think about how many students locally who at third grade can't read, they're not at their reading level. This is what we think can have a major, major impact. And then, of course, community wellness and food security is the component here, but we're going beyond that. We're looking at how do we ensure that we're helping with skills development and all kinds of things in that regard, job creation. And so just a lot of work that we're emphasizing. Bold goals. And that's it. As far as the presentation is concerned, I'll stop sharing if I can figure that one out. This is what happens when you give kids keys to cars that they shouldn't have. All right. I think that's going. All right, wait. So this is what we're dealing with, folks. This is how we're trying to show up, make a difference in Jacksonville, and quite frankly, just awesome work that a number of leaders are doing, really showing up and making a difference. So I'll stand for questions, and like I said, I have 3 of my colleagues here as well that are open to be able to participate.
Thank you. I think that's probably kind of the only thing that we can say. It's very, I don't even know what the right word is. It's difficult to look at that and, to your point, realize that those aren't those numbers that are on a screen, that those are actually like our community and the people that we pass on the street or that we, share common space with. And so it's not just, we're not talking about Washington, D.C. or Atlanta. We're talking about Jacksonville, Florida. And it's very humbling. And, when I look at this group of people, and I know a lot of you personally, and I know that we all feel that we're doing a lot to help, but I know that I'm feeling, and I'm reading in the notes and things that people are sending. Everyone wants to know how to help and what else we can do. I'm getting weepy. I'm so sorry. Anyway, it's morning. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's just very overwhelming. I mean, this is a lot. This is a lot. And we have a lot of amazing organizations that are finding solutions to poverty, but I think having it presented just this way, where it's a full snapshot and not just a particular elementary school or a particular program downtown or a particular, it's just a lot more real. So all that to be said, I do have some questions that people are asking. The biggest one though, and I would love to hear from everyone who's involved with Lift JAX, because I'm sure there's a bunch of different needs, is what can everyone do? Like there's companies that are asking how they can get involved there, and I'm making a list and I will send it to you guys. But like, what can we do? How do we get involved from just the person to the company to us as downtown council? What can we do?
Yeah, and I certainly would look to David as well. I'll share with you first and foremost, knowing the data is really important, and being prepared to show up. We're probably going to knock on your door as we continue to go through this. We're not going to do this alone. Obviously, we can't have everybody come and be at the table, and wouldn't be able to get anything done. But when we do knock on your door, we're asking that you open it up and show up in a place where it is important. You look at a lot of the organizations, logos that we shared. We're not necessarily always looking for money and those kind of things. Sometimes it's right in your wheelhouse, things that you do naturally, things that you can do without even really having to go above and beyond. And so we do, as I said, have those 4 pillars that are highlighted. And so in one of those 4 that you feel as though you want to show up in a big way, feel free to reach out to myself or David, and we'll be glad to see where you might be able to be aligned in some of this particular work, and when we might be able to. Once again, as I remind you, we may not be able to, utilize your support right now, but know that if we know that this is important to you and to your organization, or just to you personally, we'd certainly like to be able to understand that and understand when we might be able to engage you.
David shared his email in the chat box. I will, Brian, I'll get it to you, send it out to all the attendees, just like the information.
Yeah, and mine is darnell.smith@floridablue.com, all one word. So.
Okay, perfect.
I would just add, agree entirely, Darnell, and we welcome any and all conversations. And this really is a collective effort, and it's, no one person or organization created this issue, so no one person or organization is going to solve it. It's all of us. I will put a plug in. Support the East Side. There is the Melanin Market happening at the end of this month, February 27th, for Black History Month. Local vendors, actually from all over the region, who come out, and you can support their businesses. The next day, February 28th, Blacknificent, another event that's going to be held right on A. Philip Randolph Boulevard. Over 50 local food vendors. So there's ways that we can just be getting the word out about the neighborhood and all the wonderful things happening there. I want to shout out our colleagues at ViStar Credit Union, who have been promoting some of those efforts, and welcome opportunities for you all to use your platforms to share the good news that's happening, driven by folks from the East Side.
And let me just kind of show you how it works as well. Sean Stinson, my personal NFL guru, and my whisperer of all Super Bowls to follow. He indicates in the chat, I don't want to take away from your presentation, so I'm sending this direct. As you probably know, Blessings in a Backpack is a mission focused on feeding young children who do not get the nutrition they need over the weekend. These children, for the most part, live in the areas you are trying to address. Is there a way to partner with JAX? That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. What Sean is talking, how do you show up? And so we'll be glad to work closely with Blessings in a Backpack. I know that Florida Blue has supported that for years. We'll continue to support that. But the thing would be, hey, listen, how can we do that? How can we work to engage, and where might that be best supported? So just know that those are the kind of things that we certainly want to be able to do.
Okay, so we're kind of all talking offline also. We are going to put together from Downtown Council's side some information for like meetups and stuff like that for some of the different neighborhood festivals and whatnot that you're already talking about. So we will probably, David, I'll probably email you for some additional information, or myself or someone will. So let's do some of the questions, because people are asking lots of questions, which is great. So the very first one that came through was, is JAX involved in the initiative that starts on February 8th regarding the homelessness? And like with what Lenny Curry just, our mayor just announced and whatnot, like with vaccines, with neighborhood initiatives, like those kinds of things. Are y'all involved with any of those projects?
We will be, and the good thing is, the short answer is yes. Throughout this whole COVID-19 situation, we couldn't come out and do a lot of the projects that we wanted to do. So once again, we had to meet people where they are, right? And so many of them lost their jobs, didn't know where to go for testing and all those kind of things. And so we worked with community leaders to ensure that we were meeting those needs. And showing up. And so we'll continue to do that and work closely with the administration to be able to make that happen.
Okay. That's good to hear. I mean, we talk about this all the time on Downtown Council calls, is how we really are hoping to help be, as people, not just the council, but as people, be part of the change to kind of get people out of silos and everything together. So to hear that there is some collaboration, or at least involvement both ways, is more hopeful also, in addition to everything else. So let's see. More I'd like to learn. Community First, by the way, would like to be involved. I have an email address that I will share with you guys that they've reached out specifically, they'd like to help. Awesome. And we've got a real message. There are realtors in town and want to know how they can also help, whether it's with community impact, helping with getting housing, up to par. They've got lots of connections, those kinds of things, what they can do. I'll share that information with you as well.
Okay.
Question, this is a good one. Have there been any other communities in the United States that have clearly faced, we know that there's other communities in the United States that are facing these problems. Do they have organizations that have been successful in bringing them out of the cycle and breaking the cycle? And if so, are y'all mimicking some of their programs?
Yeah, so I want to make sure I do understand the question. I'll ask David to kind of share as well. And I don't know if their emphasis is on more than just the purpose-built communities focus, maybe other models other than that. But if you're looking at the part of the presentation where I talked about in Eastlake, certainly Atlanta, that was incredibly successful. That you saw the numbers there. So there is a track record of absolutely seeing communities brought out of poverty. And gosh, I forget exactly how many communities they're in right now, David.
28.
28. And so, yeah. And so the purpose-built community model is one that was started by a couple of billionaires that were really pulling together a golf course in Atlanta. And the golf course was right across from a housing area and a very impoverished area. And so they literally said, there's no way we can just sit here and, pull together golf resort, et cetera, and do nothing about what's right across from it. And that is when they began that work on Eastlake. And so you saw what happened there. And they loved it so much that they said, hey, listen, we need to do this across the country. And so they have developed that particular model, purpose-built communities, and they engage us. They're consultants. We don't pay them. They come in, they look at the work that we're doing. They're helping us understand what the other 27 are doing and what we can learn from them and vice versa. And so it's pretty powerful, you just think about that. And so, but there is absolutely track record of incredible success.
Do you think there's anything specific to Jacksonville that is different that makes it more difficult for us to break the cycle? I mean, does that make sense? Like, I mean, we all share common problems, right, throughout the United States, but like, is there something specific to Jacksonville that's holding us back from maybe doing it?
I don't think so. I'd love to hear what Shannon says and Emery and certainly David, but I really don't think so. I think the uniqueness about Jacksonville is that personally, I believe we have maybe the best opportunity to actually hit it, because I think we show up. I mean, I know that people on this Zoom call this morning are moved by that data. I know that. I would tell you, knowing it, you'll be willing to show up and do what's necessary to get results. And so I just will tell you that we're perfectly positioned. It's about asking people to show up, and it's about making certain that we're utilizing their talent. Often it's a situation where we may ask people to do things that they're not capable or able to do. And I don't think that's how we're approaching this. We're going to be plugging people in where it's naturally their best and greatest fit. And I think our children are going to benefit from it. Our city, the administration is stepping up. They've been fantastic to work with in this regard. And so, kudos to them in that regard. They're actually a part of the effort. If you go back and you take the look at the logos, and all the city is showing up. And so, yeah, we feel very good about the partners that we have in trying to make a difference.
No, I was just going to say, to those partners, there's some, I think that I know there are clearly people part of downtown council that have connections in other ways. So some people are asking whether or not you're connected with a couple, and I'm just going to ask, because if not, then I'm sure that they're going to try to help. Are you collaborating with the east side location of Jacksonville? And what Jacksonville does in that neighborhood?
We are. In fact, I'll let Dave speak about some of the good work that we're doing with them because they
Okay.
had an impact there. David?
Yeah, well, this is the Police Athletic League. Is that what was the?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and unfortunately, their location actually suffered a very bad fire 10 months ago or so, 10, 11 months ago. And they were able to work to recuperate the building and kids are back. But we've done some things to help really bring them back to full strength. Shout out Florida Blue and Darnell's colleagues in the IT department who donated some laptops, for example, so that the kids could be back plugged into technology. Mentioned ViStar again, who was able to donate some furniture to that location. So we are connected with them. We see them as a really integral partner in the community. They've been there for a long time, and I think they're a really trusted entity.
Yeah. Agreed, 100%. I talked about the events that I produced. I used to produce a huge event for them every year. I love them. Like they're really great people.
And just knowing that you guys want to be involved, I got to tell you guys, if you can help us understand that. That way, when there's a need, we can come to you to say, hey, listen, what are your thoughts about being able to support this, right? And once again, it'll be in your lane. It'll be something that you can do naturally. And yeah, just know that we definitely want to know if you want to help.
Well, David's got my email now. Him and I just side chatted. So he's got my, so you can send it out. We'll send it out. We're happy. I mean, a big part of council, right? Like we talk about this and we're talking with the chamber just this week. I mean, council has a lot of basics and one of them is to help connect people. I mean, if we can help be the connection, I know that, from the chamber council side, it's why we're here. We're trying to help and better the community. There was a question on whether or not you're working with RP funding and the potential new sports venue.
We are. David?
Yeah, we're absolutely connected with the Armada. I've had most of our conversations so far with the president of the Armada, Nathan Walter, and really closely connected. They're just to give them credit, really closely connected with community leaders out in the east side as well. So we're following closely how that project is developing and staying in close touch with them.
Okay. There was a statement that was made that's very impactful, and I know that's been talked on, but giving that poverty is, I'm going to just read the question directly. Understanding this is a generation problem that isn't always easy to break through. How is the model that you're using able to best make this change and get to the heart of making change within these generations?
I love that question. Amazing question.
Good one.
First and foremost, I would say to you, this is why I said in my presentation, we're in this for the long haul. It isn't going to happen overnight because it is hard work. And it's going to take a while. That would be the first thing I would say to you. Second, I would indicate that it's been proven that these 4 pillars, education, housing, community wellness, as well as focusing on the financial vitality of the areas is most important. And so we're going at those areas. And so once again, when I talk about financial vitality, the businesses in the area need support for growth and development. But then there are people in the area who need new skill development. And how do we get them that development in order to, and it doesn't happen overnight, but it's a matter of being able to work closely with them. When you look at the community wellness component, obviously, what's the health care component there? What exists and what are we doing about it? Do they have access to good health? How about safety? Bringing JSO to be a part of this particular effort is really important to us, and they've shown up in a big way in that regard. The parks, all kind of things fit in that community wellness piece, and we're focusing. On the education piece, we talked about it, from cradle to career, and you saw that we're focusing on the effort around ensuring that we have early childhood learning, so having a pre-K center and engaging the students. If you think about it, in that area, you don't have a high school. All the children in that area go to neighboring areas to go to high school, mostly to Rains, if I'm not mistaken, David. But once again, it's a lot of pride in Rains in that regard. And so you meet them where they are because it's important to them, et cetera. We talked about the melanin market around the just the vitality of that particular area. I want you to know we're going to make the melanin market one of the best places to be and show up on a regular basis. And it's essentially downtown. And so that's what I love.
Or is it a market that's there all the time? Is it monthly? I feel horrible. I don't know about this market.
I'll let David talk about it, but no, it's not there every day. But
yeah, it's right now it's quarterly, but I think there's appetite and aspiration for bigger and better.
Yeah.
It's the easiest, I'll say from my standpoint, it's the easiest thing in the world for us to support because it is entirely driven, grown, started everything from East Side leaders. And so it's a tremendous opportunity for us to really just add wind to the sails of something that they've already started that's really successful.
And that's why I love what you were saying as well, Laura, because we love, get all of your, email list and put you on that list to be able to be aware of what's happening.
People are going,
yeah. The United Way has been amazing in that effort as well. Obviously, the Vice Star Credit Union has been amazing, but a lot of folks are just showing up and helping. And sometimes it's just small things, helping them with the marketing of that effort and etc. Meeting them where they are, right? Giving them the ability to do the things that we just do so naturally. That's the work that we want you to help us with.
Well, to that, the meeting them where they are, there was a question, and this will be the last one because we do have breakouts, and I know that we started late and all these kind of fun things, but I feel like, as happens a lot of times, we could probably talk all day on council calls, which, it's needed, so that's fine. But meeting them where they are, there was a question that was posed on what happens as neighborhoods grow. There is displacement of those that either don't want to grow or can't grow or whatever that might be. What's your plan for those, for either preventing displacement or helping them, those that don't fit in the neighborhood?
Here's one I love for Shannon to speak to because she's amazing in this space. But I'll start by simply making it clear. If we're going to lift this community out of poverty, we're going to have to make it open for others to want to come into this area and raise the income. It can't just raise just by the people who are there and waiting for the time when they're getting just better jobs, et cetera. We have to make this an attractive place for others, but we don't want to do it from the standpoint of just kicking people out.
Right.
And so it is a balance there, and we are trying to figure that piece out. Shannon? You're on mute, I think, my friend.
Can you hear me okay? Sorry.
Yes.
For those who don't know, Ability Housing is a member on the East Side because we own an apartment community there. And so we've been working with the neighborhood.
Shannon, we can't hear you, sweetheart.
I think my mic is broken. I'll type.
Oh, no. I can kind of hear you now.
Okay, I'm sorry. I've been having challenges this week with IT. Basically, the core of it is working with the neighborhood and making sure all of the work is done so that they can stay. Having mixed income housing, helping them keep the equity in their housing as housing prices go up rather than selling quickly, helping them rehab the houses they own, helping them with jobs in the area so they can stay and earn better income. That's all part of the comprehensive neighborhood work. For example, when we're doing the housing, we want to keep the residents there, just make the housing better, but also create new housing for other income groups so that it's all a mixed income and the existing residents who want to stay have the ability to stay, as well as people who grew up there and want to return and can move back and live in the neighborhood in which they grew up. There's a lot of passion amongst people who grew up there who very much want the ability to come back and help their neighborhood.
That's right. That's right. And so for those who may not have heard, Shannon, it really is around that mixed income housing component. That's what we're focusing on. People coming in and people having a chance to stay. And, we're learning. One of the things that is out there regarding the East Lake effort was a documentary on what their lessons learned was. And so we asked every one of our members on this Lift JAX effort to look at that documentary and understand the lessons learned. And one of the biggest lessons is that, they didn't know the people that were being impacted in that one complex that they got rid of, or at least transformed in East Lake. And so for us, we're going to make certain we don't make that mistake. We're going to know everybody's name in that apartment complex. We want to understand what's important to them, how long they've been there. How do we work with them to make certain that they have a chance to stay on the east side? They call it out east, if that's their desire. I will say, I want to be clear, there are some bad actors on the east side, and we're not looking to help them stay on the east side. But people who are good people trying to do the things for their families and to lift their families, we want to be able to help them to achieve what's important.
There are still so many questions, so Darnell, I'm gonna have to email them to you because we are.
Okay, we'll make certain we'll get back to you.
I know, and I know you will. And so we have our post survey, our post presentation survey, which is how can we best confront generational poverty, which someone had brought up. This one, focus on affordable housing, focus on education, focus on health, and focus on financial education, which if anyone was paying attention, these are clearly the pillars of Lift JAX. So I would appreciate everyone answering this. I'm hoping we're gonna get 100% on the results. I cannot thank everyone from Lift JAX enough on behalf of Downtown Council and the JAX Chamber and any of the organizations that are helping. It's wonderful to see, it's wonderful to see the logos. You keep going back to the logos, everyone who's helping. It's wonderful to see those logos, but it's also really endearing and gives a lot of 83. Oh, okay, there we go. So at least we all know that all of these things are important. Where I was saying, it's the community side of this morning has been very uplifting. And I think that it shows, to your point, that Jacksonville shows up, and at least Downtown Council members are going to show up, it looks like. David, you emailed me, I'll email you back with those that are saying that they want to help, to put you in touch with them. We as Downtown Council will send out a follow-up to this. Some people are asking Darnell for some of the presentation. I'll get with you on that. Some of the key points of the presentation, I'll get with you on that. And then everyone, we will send out information and as much information as we can regarding some of these, some of the ways we can get involved, and then kind of put everyone in touch with everyone else, in the hopes that we can actually be part of this change and then breaking the cycle of poverty. I am to that going to pass it back off to Gracie to kind of break us out.
Sure. Sure.
Darnell, did you want to say something real quick?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I see a question from John Brooks regarding what is the most impactful thing that folks can do. I want you to know that right now we're in a resource development component or phase. And so we're obviously raising funds. You don't get this kind of change without doing that. And so we have an effort in that regard underway. If you believe your organization, or you for that matter, want to be able to give, and a lot of it really is money at the end of the day. I need you to know that. We're knocking on doors to raise those funds. Would love to be able to know who I could contact, and would really appreciate an opening in that regard. We already have a lot of names that we're actually working with in that regard. We raised, probably what I talked to David about, would probably be over $1 million, probably by the end of February. But just know that all these things come at a cost as well. And so we're in that fundraising phase. So let us know if you think this is something you'd like to be able to give to.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Darnell. Again, we're so grateful for you, David, Shannon, Anne Marie, and team for being a part of this conversation. I do want to do a shameless plug for actually an upcoming Downtown Council event that will be taking place at the end of February 25th. Many of these speakers that you heard from today, including David, Shannon, and Anne Marie Knight, are a part of that conversation, and it's centered on health equity and the complexities of that. So truly an incredible, conversation this morning that really launches into additional context around health equity and how we can increase health equity in our Jacksonville area. So please stay tuned for that. That's going to be an evening session. It's going to be from 5 to 6:30. We will send emails and additional information, in the weeks to come. But no, that's coming, and we hope that you'll be able to join us. At this point, again, I want to say thank you so much, Darnell, for joining us. There's so much to discuss and gnaw on here and really decide like how we want to get involved. So I am going to extend the length of the meeting until 9:30, which I know is pushing it a little bit, but I just see so much value in us having small group discussions on poverty in Jacksonville and ways that we can get involved. So if you have the flexibility in your schedule to stay on, if you have an interest in stay on to have small group discussions with the people that are still on this meeting, please stay tuned. And I'm just going to send it over to Amanda Patch at the chamber, who's going to put us into small networking groups so we can continue the conversation.